Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Powell, appreciate you taking the time to be able to be here. One of the big challenges I think we've really faced as a country is the policies in the previous administration had yielded a lethargic growth that had impacted communities across the country. And we're now seeing policies starting to step into place that are actually getting the economy moving, creating job opportunities, putting resources back into the pockets of the individuals who actually earn it, and creating that opportunity for people to be able to increase their prospects for their families, for their communities as well, which I applaud, but want to make sure that they are applied across the board in the country as well, to each community. And I'd like to be able to highlight one of the benefits that I've seen in my district from the Tax Cut and Jobs Act in Colorado. The Bank of Colorado, which has a significant presence in the western slope of Colorado, the Four Corners region that I represent, wrote me after passage of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act that they anticipate the passage of the reform is going to be having a positive effect on the growth of their businesses and our local economy. In fact, the Bank of Colorado added a special bonus at the end of the year for all 641 of their associates in Colorado and New Mexico. They're going to be receiving $1,000 in terms of a bonus, and part-time associates are going to be receiving $250 to $500. Mr. Chairman, in my part of the country, that's real money. It's not a crumb. It's how we pay a mortgage. It's how we pay for the electric bill. It's how we provide literally for our children. To be able to boost those opportunities for those employees, it's actually helping Main Street right now. The Bank of Colorado's actions, I think, provide an example for us in terms of new possibilities that exist in the current economy and also looking forward. I guess what I'd like to be able to speak to you on is, in my state of Colorado, and I've often spoke to it as a tale of two economies. Urban Colorado has been doing well. Their unemployment is down. However, when we move into rural Colorado, we're just now starting to see the signs of the recovery and those opportunities for the people who live in those rural areas. One of the real challenges that I've heard in our communities has been from our small community banks in terms of the trickle-down effect of overregulation that came out of Dodd-Frank. The best practices that are being employed that may not have been on paper but are implied, and they're feeling those real impacts. And so I know Mr. Loudermilk had brought up with you earlier in the questioning in regards to being able to tailor some of that, the rules and regulations to be able to meet the size, the risk portfolio of the institution. Can you give us an idea of what you see as that real tailoring and when we could expect that to maybe start to take place, to be able to open up those doors of economic opportunity for rural America?
So in the regulatory space for smaller institutions, first of all, we're mindful that the number of banks small banks in rural and non-urban areas has declined very sharply over the years, and we don't see that as a good trend, and we don't want to be any part of making it worse. There are bigger forces at work there as people move to the cities and that kind of thing. But as it relates to our regulation, I think we've, just recently here, we've dramatically reduced the scope and burden of the call report. We've made exam frequency longer, so you have longer gaps between exams. I think we tried hard to find ways to simplify the capital requirements because you just don't need you don't have the resources to be managing these highly complex capital requirements. So we went through and in a number of areas we simplified. We tried to address the shortage of appraisers in many rural areas, but honestly, you could go on forever. I think it's a lot of small things, and I will just tell you that we're committed to doing more, and I hope you'll hold us accountable for that.
Well, and I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. I have a piece of legislation, the Taylor Act, to be able to make sure that we've got rules and regulations that are going to be written to be able to meet the size, risk portfolio of the institution, and appreciate your commitment and hopefully willingness to be able to work with us, because the objective is to be able to open up those doors of economic opportunity for all of our communities across the country. And one issue which has been brought up to me is also in regards to the Community Reinvestment Act. And if you would be willing to work with us on that as well, our banks do want to be able to make those real contributions back in, but we've got some outdated rules that I think we do need to address. Thank you, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.